Good afternoon, and if you're joining us where it's morning, a very good morning to you all. It's 12 p.m. Here in India, Bangalore, and so that's why it's a good afternoon for most of you coming here, joining us here from India. If you're coming from anywhere else, if it is good morning to you. If it is good evening, it's good evening to you. So this is again one of the series, one of the webinars that we normally do here in Progress India. Almost like second, third, and fourth Thursdays of the month, we conduct these webinars. And this time, we're going to be talking about one of the new products that we have. It's been there for quite some time now, and then we have already done a getting started with the report server. But today, we're going to be looking at how, if you have any needs of a little amount of BI, somebody is saying we are not able to see your screen, so probably what you should do is wait for the screen to kind of refresh on your end, because most of the guys on the webinar have been able to see my screen and then hear me clearly, so I'm assuming it's something to do with the network at your end. So just wait for it to refresh. So we have already done one webinar or a couple of webinars where we talked about what is reporting and what is a report server. But today we're going to be looking at a very specific, maybe a need you may have in your projects, which is to, quickly create a dashboard. And that dashboard has to be like a report, and then somebody should be able to download it or whatever. So basically, these are some of the things that we're going to look at today, how report server will help you to have somebody, typically you have somebody creating the front end, somebody creating the report, right? So you don't want them to step on their toes. You need the reporting guy to create the report, just upload it somewhere, and then you need the front end guy to just pull the report and show the report. So two different what do you call two different somebody is asking please unmute. So sorry, this is a one-way traffic at this moment. If I unmute you, everybody will start talking, and then I cannot do a webinar. So you have the Q&A panel. If you have any questions, please make use of the Q&A panel and then log your questions there, and then I will pick it up at the end of the session, and then we'll answer those questions. So that's typically how you should have your project hierarchy or project structuring, right? If somebody goes ahead and then creates the report, but where do you host the report? Because I want it to be centrally available. Maybe I have a front end which is a web application. I want to show the report has an HTML there, so that if somebody is using a tablet or desktop, they should be able to view the report on a browser. Maybe within the company or inside the company, you have, let's say, a Windows Presentation Foundation application or a WinForms application or an ASP.NET Ajax-based web application, right? So some internal reports will be used internally. There are certain reports which are used externally, as we call it, as a user-facing or customer-facing pages. Yeah. So, but I want it hosted locally, centrally. I don't want it embedded inside my web application, because otherwise what happens is the reporting engines are a little bit, kind of power hungry, or I call it to say RAM hungry, right? They do a lot of calculations, you name it. So they need power, they need processing power. So with reporting server, what you get is a dedicated box, or you can go and then put the reporting server in a dedicated box, and your web application is just going and then pinging the report server and then says, hey, give me the report. I want this report that's there on the reporting server, like that. So we're going to see a lot of things on these things. If you want to try the reporting server, it's available as a trial, 30 days of trial. As you can see there is a button called as try now. You can always go ahead and then check it out. You can do whatever I'm showcasing today here at your end, and then you can take a look at it. So as you can see, it's Visual Studio 2015 ready, meaning if you are somebody who is coming from the Microsoft stack or Microsoft world, and Visual Studio, right? So the reporting, or the reports that you want to develop or all the stuff, this is pretty much the Visual Studio 2015 ready. So I don't have per se slide deck today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our website to talk about some of the things that report, what is report server, and then get on with the demo of showcasing how do you create a report, how do you upload the report to the report server, and how do you consume it. That's the interesting part, consuming. I'm going to just create a blank or a simple HTML file, and then I will bring in the report which is hosted on my report server, and then we'll see how it works out. So first thing, some of the features, basically these are some of the features that we have: store, manage, and view reports. So basically you can store it, you can create it, and then you can manage it, meaning on the report server, which employee of yours or which reporting users of yours can access a particular report, those kind of stuff, and you can view the reports and all those things. So we do have certain amount of user management, authentication, and authorization. Access to the reports is limited to registered users. Basically, um, the what happens with the authentication authorization here is, I'm not talking about your end users of your website. No, it's not about that. You as a company has taken the report server, you have installed it on a box, and you want to provide only a couple of what do you call, the employees or the report managers or reporting editors. So you need a couple of them to be made available. I mean, they should be able to access the reports, right? So that's the authentication, authorization, user management that we are talking about here. And of course, if you have an ADFS, that is Active Directory Federation Services, yeah, you can always integrate reporting server with that particular ADFS, so that you do not have to create a new user ID password, but rather you will be able to log in with your Windows credentials, and then seamless a way of working with the reporting server. And this is all powered by Telerik Reporting. So we already had, or we have, a product called as Telerik Reporting, which is a very lightweight embedding, we call it as embed only reporting solution, meaning let's say you're building a small web application, you need a reporting need, um, where you want to show reports, basically in a printable view or preview view or whatever you call it. You need the capability of exporting it to, whichever format that you can think of, like, the Excel, the CSV, you name it. So we give you out of the box all those export capabilities. So the Telerik reporting was the lightweight solution for anybody's reporting needs in a web application. And of course, it was a .NET only, meaning you could host the reporting engine in an ASP.NET web application. And then the benefit is the report you were able to consume the report from any front end, HTML5, ASP.NET Ajax, ASP.NET MVC, Windows Forms, WPF. So you were able to consume it. So we already had this very well established, very stable product called as Telerik Reporting. And why we built Report Server was because people were happy with Telerik Reporting. It solved their reporting needs. But as I said, Telerik Reporting as a solution is an embed only, meaning the reporting engine, the reports, everything is inside your web application. So that means if you deploy it on a web server, yeah, so the web server is now doing two things. One is serving your web pages, plus our reporting engine also is running in the same process. So people used to come in and say, hey, why can't you guys build a report server where I put all my reports, but in the web application I want to just consume the report, just render the report in my web application. So that's where we all started out with this report server, and then today we are at it's been there. The report server has been there from quite some time now, like a year or so. And so now people are kind of uh, working towards this, and then like, oh yeah, so this is cool. So because they already know Telerik reporting, and now they have the report server, which is centrally maintained reports, and then they can just consume it from any application that they need. Another important thing about any reports is, you may be making a lot of changes on your report. So you start with version 1 of a report, and then, iteration 2, the customer asks for something else. So you come in and then modify the report. And when you upload it, right, you need some amount of versioning and then some amount of history, so that you can go back to any version at any point of time. So we maintain that as part of the report server. We will keep track of that. meaning what date, who uploaded what version of the report, and then you will be able to always go back to any the particular version. Another biggest thing about report or report server concept in the enterprise is scheduling. Hey, I need the sales report to be developed every, let's say, month end, right? Every 30 days I need a sales report to be done. Well, we can make you do that. Just design the report, have your queries right, and then upload the report to the report server, and you can schedule that saying like, hey, run this report every 30 days, and then not only that, we have the capability to send the report to email addresses that you will tell us. So we can either email it, or it will always be there, at any point of time you go and then preview that. So the report is real time, it executes and then gives you that. And because it's a centralized report server, meaning the reports are stored centrally for your organization. Now you have the capability to access it from any device. Why? Because we have something called as HTML5 viewer as part of Telerik reporting. So that HTML5 viewer knows how to render the reports that you have developed as HTML5. So that means any browser which is capable of HTML5, you can now view the report. So that's the beauty of our HTML5 viewer. Of course, we have our own Telerik Report Designer. It's a standalone designer. You do not need to know any programming or anything, except you should know how to work with, let's say, what is that? The SQL Server querying. How do you connect to a data source? How do you write a query? You just need to know this basic capabilities. Of course, any data guy knows how to write a query, and our report designer, in a moment we will get into all this demo. I'm just setting the context so that you get to know what exactly is this report server, and then we'll go into the demos. So the report designer is a very intuitive graphical user interface where you come in, you say file new report, and we will give you wizards wherein it will ask you where do you want to connect to, all those typical stuff that you would expect in any designer. We have it. You can drag a section, you can drag a text box, you can drag, whatnot. So we will, I'll show you the capabilities that we have as part of our reports, and then we will create a report and then consume it in a HTML page. So this is typical key features of our reporting server. As I said, you can always go ahead and then install this for trying out. So there's a try now, there's a 30-day of trial available, and you can see whatever I talked about as the key features is available within those 30 days. Now, in the interest of the time, I'm not going to go through the experience of how do you install, how do you set it up. I've already downloaded and then it's been installed. So let me show you where it is downloaded and then it is installed. Let me get my, here we go. So this is how the installation folder will look like. So basically, when you install the report server, there is a question. Good to know that report server can be accessed from web application. Can it also be used with mobile apps? I think you're not listening to me clearly. What I said was the report viewer is a HTML5 based report viewer. So that means you open up the report in a web app, or you open, so basically you need a website, right? So basically, so it should be in a www, whatever your the domain name is, then /report/report1.asp or whatever, report viewer.html or whatever. If you have that, anybody can open up the report from a desktop browser, or you can go to your mobile phones, open up a browser there, go to that link, and then the report will be rendered on that browser. If you're looking for embedding this inside a mobile, like create a native mobile app, well, this is not going to serve the purpose because native mobile apps are completely different, right? So what I'm talking about is I want to create a web app and use HTML5 report viewers so that somebody who is on a desktop browser, yes, he will be able to see that report. Somebody has a tablet, and then typically all your what do you call, the enterprise apps or anything are always a web applications, right? So you want your customer is having a tablet and he wants to view your sales dashboard now. Yeah, well, all he needs to do is open up a browser in the tablet and pretty much say www your domain name /report/report viewer.html. That's it. Now he gets the report then and there on the tablet. For the mobile apps, if you so it's only a 4-inch screen, right? So when it is a 4-inch screen, you need a complete different philosophy to design the screens. It's not just easy for you to just go and then put everything, right? So but our HTML5 viewer, yes, if you are on a 4-inch screen or a 5-inch screen and then you open up a browser and then go to that page where the report viewer is hosted, yeah, it will try its best to fit to that 4-inch screen, and then we have certain responsive mechanisms that we have built into the viewer, but inside the report, if the report is too long, yeah, you will have your scroll bars, all those stuff. Progressive web apps, no, I don't think we are still yet there, so it's going to be a complete HTML5 thing. So coming back to the installation thing, so when you install, this is what we give you. There are certain services that will run. Of course, you will be installing the report server on your own server. It has to be a Windows box for this because it's a web application, and basically you will need to have a Windows server, and then you install the report server on that Windows server, and then we have bunch of services running, and then this is the main web application, telerik.reportserver.web. That's the web app which will make everything work. So now when you install it, currently if you run it on a particular box, so this is my desktop, but I treat this as a Windows server itself. So what it has done is it has gone ahead and then created, let me show you, yeah. So let me bring this up. Yeah, here. So it has installed the report server on my machine at port 83. So it has created a completely different website, gave it a port 83 because port 80 is usually taken by the default website on my machine. So it has created port 83, and then now what I'm doing is I'm just going to the localhost colon 83. So let the page refresh. Looks like my machine is warming up, so let me see what is happening. It should come up at any moment. So in the meantime, let me take any questions. Will this serve for progressive web apps? Well, yeah, progressive web apps are something that's coming up very new, and then I think it's Google's kind of a philosophy that they're saying, like, yeah, you should start with maybe a web page and then progress the user to the app site. So what we have as a reporting server is completely just a as you can see here, it's a web application. You install it on a Windows box and you maintain that. So within your organization you have bunch of reports to be created. Well, yeah, that's what you do. You just go ahead and then keep uploading the report, keep maintaining the report. Somebody goes ahead and then creates a version 2 of the report or something like that. So you just go ahead and then maintain it. And just because you have this centralized repository for the report server, now you can, you're maintaining the report in one place and then you're consuming it in n number of places. So that's the beauty of this particular report server, right? It just allows you to use it from many different places. So currently I'm logged in with my own user ID. So this is how it starts. You will have, when you, for the first time, when you install the report server and then go to this particular website, which is in my case localhost colon 83, it will ask you for, hey, who is the administrator. You will have to set up an admin user, all those things. If you had ADFS, yeah, you can map the ADFS, whatever web service, and then you will be able to pretty much uh, map all your users from your ADFS into this one and say, yeah, allow these guys, don't allow anybody else or something like that. So I have set up my own user. So I just created that user, and then by default what we have done is when you install, we have shipped a couple of example reports for you to just get started. So notice here on the left hand side it has reports, categories, data, scheduling, data alerts, user management, all those stuff, right? If I go to user management, it will pretty much have only one record now, and that's me, nobody else. This is a web application, so I had restarted my mission just before this webinar. So this web app is now has not been warmed up. So when I go to any pages, it's going to take a extra second or so to come up, because it's a ASP.NET web app. The first hit or the first request to any page is usually slow. That's why you see a lot of spinning up going on. But none of matter. So it will have one record, which is mine, and then I can start adding a user. If you are an ADFS, you can just sync the users from your ADFS and then start using that. So there's a question, this only to generate reports based on our table inputs. I'm not sure I understand the question. So this is basically a reporting server, meaning you design a report, you upload the report here. So this is like a centralized repository of all your reports, and you can consume the reports from anywhere, from a web application, from a desktop application, from a HTML5 based web application, and you just consume it. So you have one place to maintain your reports. So this is how the report management, the user management is. Before that, let's go to configuration. There are certain configuration that you will need to do. The main thing being, when I upload a report, where should the report server store it, right? So basically, as you can see here, I'll show you. First thing is mail server. Remember I talked about when I schedule a reporting server, when I schedule a report, I have the capability to send an email, so I need an SMTP gateway, right? So that's where we ask you to set the SMTP information. As of now, I'm on my own personal laptop or work laptop, so I'm not in a domain, so I don't know my SMTP. But if I knew it, I can always put an SMTP account name, password, what should be the sender's email, what should be the all those things, and then authentication. Federation provider. So if you had the federation, that is basically the ADFS, yeah, you can always come in and then put the federation provider URI, the realm as we call it, the WS federation metadata as we call it, and what's the relying party ID, and then authority and the client ID. You can do all those things. The mail template. So when a scheduled task attachment external, so meaning I want to attach a particular report to an email and then send it out. So how do you want to send that? I mean, what should be the template of that email, right? So currently it says, hello, the report name has been generated based on the following scheduled task. The report is available as an attachment to this email. This is just a mail template. You can create any number of template. When somebody's account is activated, when you reset a password, data alerts. So we have this concept of data alerts, which is completely fantastic. Basically what it does is I can set up alerts saying, like, if any time a particular report, in any particular report, any field goes beyond this threshold, yeah, just alert me. Yeah, we will keep executing that particular query in that particular report, and then we will be able to keep a track of that. If you have given us a threshold, we will check the threshold, and the moment the report crosses that, or a field in that report crosses the threshold, we will shoot an email to you saying, like, hey, you know what, data values in the report have satisfied rules of this particular alert. Please check the attached report document if available. That's a data alert that we do. And the biggest thing is the storage. So currently what I have told the reporting server is that, hey, whenever I upload a report to you, I have designed a report and I'm coming and then uploading the report to the server, store it on the files system. And where should it store? It should store in a folder called as data within the report server, the application. You have access, you have option of setting different let me say okay for a moment. As you can see here, by default currently it is set up as file system, but I can use SQL Server, meaning I can have a database on the network, and I can say that, hey, report server, whenever I upload a new report to you, don't store it on the file system, but rather use the SQL Server. Or Redis cache is very popular. It's a very fast caching provider. So you can set up a Redis at your network, and then you can say to the reporting server that, hey, By the way, I want you to pretty much store the reports in the Redis cache server. So that like that. So I'm not going to make a change here. Currently I'm set up as a file system, so I'm going to keep running the file system. And as you can see here, storage is set to file system. So that is the initial setup that you as an administrator would have to do for this particular reporting server. Now let's come back to other things, categories. Typically all reports will have a bunch of what do you call categories that you would want to categorize your reports, right? Some are finance reports, some are HR reports, some are maybe customer reports, or whatever it is. So it's very simple. What you need to do is you just create a new category. Let's say I'm going to say finance, and I just save it. That's it. So that's just you're creating a new category here. So I'm going to say HR, and then I will say customer, right? That's it. So now I've created all the reports. Plus I can also go ahead and then maintain connection strings here, right? The concept is when you are designing the report, you are on your own laptop or you are on your own desktop, correct? But when you run it on the server, the data connections may be completely different. So what you can do is you can set up a new connection string here, and you can say that, you know, this is let's say adventure works 80, or I'm going to say 80 connections connection. That's a adventure works connection that I have. So add adventure works data connection. So it's asking me what's the data provider. So as you can see here, I can say I have a SQL client data provider. In my case, let me get my connection string. Where did it go? Okay, I'll shut it down. So I can say, like, you know, data server is equal to dot backslash lohit underscore db underscore srv. So I'm saying, like, you know, this is the particular server. Data source is equal to, initial, I think this is the data source. So data source is equal to dot backslash initial catalog is equal to, I believe I have adventure works. So this is just a and then I can say integrated, or if you have a user ID password, you can say that. I'm going to say integrated security is equal to SSPI, and I just save, right? So it's basically what you're doing is so typically as a report editor or a report author, I may not have access to the production database, but what normally I do is I will have a replica or, you know, staged database within my network, but it will be a completely different data source, right? So but this lohit underscore db underscore srv may be the production data source, meaning production box. So typically what we suggest is, you know, you make use of the connection string name, in this case AW connection. So when you upload the report onto the reporting server, so the reporting server will look for any connection string with the same name and it will use that, versus what you used in your local machine. In your local machine you just have a dummy database, but it has the same schema so that you can create your reports and all those stuff. So let me quickly go ahead with other things. So let's come back to the reports. We'll see how the reports are. So we ship this many sample reports for you. So let's say I'm going to look at product line sales, right? I'm going to click on this guy. The moment I click on it, notice here I'm getting a preview of that particular report, and this, by the way, is the HTML5 report viewer. So what it is doing is I've already designed this report and I have uploaded to the reporting server. Now it is getting executed on my machine, or, you know, basically I'm doing a preview. So there you go. So you are able to see top 10 employees based on the sales, top 10 stores based on the sale they are doing, and I'm looking at a lot of categories here. So the report has a report parameter, as we call it. One parameter is category, another parameter is subcategory. So I can do a clear selection, and notice here now the whole report is going to be refreshed, and I can come back here and then select. So as you can see, when I removed all the selection, basically it doesn't know what to do. So I can say I want to look at clothing, and maybe show me, you know, for everything. So clothing, and then maybe I'm going to go and then select a bunch of other things. As you can see here, I can I've selected this many clothing. So bib shorts, caps, gloves, and tights. So I'm looking at a product line sales for this particular this one. So this is the preview. This is not yet embedded anywhere. So that's just a preview. What you can do with these things is, like, you can see, as you can see here, you can upload a report. Meaning, if I click on that, it's going to ask me, give me a name of that. And we have our own extension for our reports called as .trdp or .trdx. I'll show you how to create a report in a moment. So what I'm going to do now is, you can upload it, we'll come back to that. And then this was the preview. So I can select a particular report. Let's say I'm taking an invoice, and then I click on preview. So you get the preview of that particular. As you can see, yeah, this is what you can generate, with our reporting, uh, very rich. You can do a lot of things with our reports. As you can see, this is a AdventureWorks database, the dummy database that everybody uses. But notice how we have transformed one of the tables called as the order table into an invoice. So there is a customer details that's coming up. There is the order details. So what all the items they have placed in the order, what is the total, and then 51 products, 202 items on page 1, and then this is what it is. There is only one page in this invoice. This kind of things you can easily do it. And if you so this is a good an understanding for somebody, like, if you're building a system and you need to create an invoice for any order immediately, like this, like as we say, click of a button, right? Yeah, that's what you need, a reporting solution wherein you design the report, keep it. Now I can select any order and immediately I get the invoice report generated, and I can export this. Let me show you this. I'm going to export this, and notice here you can export it as a PDF, a CSV, Excel worksheet, PowerPoint presentation, RTF, TIFF, Web Archive, Word document, XPS document. I'm going to export this as a PDF now. So now it is saying, like, hey, do you want to open or save invoice.pdf? So I'm going to say open. So currently I'm looking at a invoice of a very specific order. So let's see now, the invoice should load up. There we go. This is the PDF that's generated. As it looks same, there's no change, right, between what you generated there or anything. So, and it automatically breaks it into pages. As you can see here, it is automatically broken it down into multiple pages because there are that many items in this particular order. So now you can send this PDF document to anybody that you want, right? I can go back to 1081. So that's what the report is all about. So now let's quickly take a look at how do you create a report, right? That's the important piece of it. And the third button is design the report. So let's say you want to open this particular version of the report and then design it and upload it again, right? So that's what it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new report. So if you see here, edit, and I can download this report, I can duplicate this report, I can edit this report. Notice each report has this what do you call version history, and then the revision, the who uploaded what time, who created it, last modified by, everything. And I can schedule it, so I can say, like, for this dashboard I can create a task. What is the task? Report dashboard, give it a name, and document format. So I need a PDF, and it should start on so and so. It should recurrence, it should repeat every month on the first day of the month, right? I can do that. And what is the parameters it needs, right? I can say, like, yeah, sales for the year or whatever. I need to pass the parameter, I need to provide a mail template, and that's it. Once I set the task, the report server will keep on looking for that task. Meaning, if you have said generate the report every month, we will execute that report every month, mail it to you with the attachment as a PDF or whatever you have asked for. So that's the thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, so I need to create a new report. For that, we have this concept of design the report, right? So I will say, I'll click on this design report, and notice now what is happening is it is actually launching what we call as Telerik Report Designer. It's available when the moment you take this particular product report server, you will be able to get that. What it is doing is it's actually running something called as click once technology. We have already hosted the exe or the software on our servers, so it's now just trying to download and then run the application. In the interest of the time, I've already done that. If you click on run, it will go fetch the installer from our servers and then install that particular app on your machine, and you will start using the designer. But in the interest of the time, I've already done that, so let me show you how it looks like. So this is what we call as Telerik Report Designer. As you can see here, I've been playing around with a lot of things. Now this is where it gets interesting. So there is a report server component here. I can just go in and then see my recent documents. I can load a report from my desktop, and then there is something called as report server. So I can say, like, add a server. So what is the server URI? Well, in this case it is localhost:83. My report server on my local host, just some name. You can be connecting to multiple usernames, report servers, right? So I will say, yeah, this is this. I'll say remember me, and I'll say login. Now what you will see is it says, hey, yeah, I see this report server, right? And I can click on that, and it is asking me, hey, open report from so and so reporting server. So which report do you want to open? So let's say we saw the invoice, right? I'm going to pick up invoice and then I'll say open it, and there you go. The report server, which is now hosted on the reporting server, the report which is hosted on the reporting server, you are now opening it on your local desktop, and then I can make any changes and then I can upload it back. So for example, once I have done, I can say, like, save all or whatever it is, and then I can push it back to the server. It will ask me like, hey, you know what, I know you have done something, so give a description for this check-in, or it's kind of a check-in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first come here, file new, and I will say what should we pick up? So let's pick up a bands report wizard, and notice here it is asking me, hey, set report location to continue. I can say on my computer, or I can say report server. So I can say, yeah, I want you to do it there. So it is asking me now, to which category do you want to save this report? Well, I'm going to say this is a sample report, so I will say sample table report, and I will say save. The moment I do that, it is actually gone there. So now it is asking me, okay, I understand you want to create a sample report, so what's the report data source? So this is how you design a report in Telerik reporting world. So I will say add new data source, and I'm going to select the SQL data source, and I will say this is main data source, and I will say okay. It's asking me, hey, do you want to use an existing connection? Because I've been playing around with this report designer, so there are a bunch of connection strings that I are already done. So I'm going to say adventure works. I will say next. It's asking me, should I create this alias called as adventure works, or use the shared connection alias so and so? What we can do is we'll say yes, and then it is asking me for a select statement, but I don't know, I don't know what tables are there. So I will say query designer, and this is the schema from the database. So I'm going to select production, and where is a customer? This should be a person. It's going to be completely different. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the product table, and as you can see here, it is giving me the so what I need is, I don't want everything, so I want a product ID, name, product number maybe, then color, then standard cost, list price, maybe size, and what else? I think that should be it for now. So yeah, we'll take that for now. And as you can see here, that is it. So I just created a query, and then I'm going to say next, and it will say execute query. Yeah, I'm executing the query, so I'll say next, and that's it. So now what it's going to do is, hey, I understand this is the data source, these are the columns that you need, say next, and it is going to ask me, okay, do you want any grouping, do you want any what should I show? So drag fields here to create a report header. So what I need is I want the details to be like this. So I'm going to select this. So outline, no, I'll say stepped, yeah. And I'm going to select which one? Substitute office. Let's select office for now. And there we go. So we just created a simple report now. I will say sample report. Um, so this will be Adventure Works products, you know, and then yeah, that should be it. So let's go and then preview this. And notice here, it is actually uploaded this report directly to the report server. When I do a preview, it is going to localhost :83 report / view / samples, and then the sample report name, right? And this is how it is. There are 17 pages for this particular report, right? You know, there you go. So I can do this. So this is just a primer for you to understand how you design a report. So now it is done and it is already sitting on the server. So as you can see here, it is showing me server, and I can go to the home. If I want to preview it here, so it always takes me there because the report is already there on the server. So I'm previewing this from the server. So now what I'm going to do is, and if I refresh this page, we should see the new report here. So let me show you that. And where is our sample report? Here it is. This is the sample report that we saw. What is it saying? Not published reports cannot be previewed. So I need to publish this guy. So I will go to file and report servers. No, server. And there you go. So we have this publish button here. So what is happening is I haven't published it to the report server. So you cannot do, I mean, basically somebody else cannot view this. So I need to publish this. So I'm going to say publish. And it says well, V1 of products report. And keep report lock. No, let somebody take it. So I'm going to publish this. So it is doing a publish now. I'll come back to the report server and then I'll check this. Now we should see that the report server is now available. Notice here it says history V1 of the products report, right? So created by Lohit, last modified by Lohit GN. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go ahead and open the same report now. So I'll say file, open report server. I'll click on this and I will say sample table report and I will select open. Now what I want to do is I want to put a background color to this particular adventure work. So I will say background, and maybe the color that I want is, I'm not good at colors, so I will say this. And text, the color that I want for the text is white, and maybe we want to use Segoy UI light. Where is Segoy? It's up. And here we have Segoy UI light, and then I will say this, but I need maybe a bold. So I'm going to say bold, and there we go. So let me preview this once before I publish this. So I will say preview. Now, yeah, looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this and then I'm going to publish this. So I'm going to come back to server and I will say publish. So now I can say V2 modified report header, add background color. You know, just a quick, if somebody looks at it, they should see that what happened with this report, right? So now I have published it. I can come back here and I can pretty much click on the same report, and now you will see two history coming up. It says V2 modified report header, add background color, and V1 of products report, right? You know, it's like V1 and V2. So if you see here, there is a preview link here. So if I click on preview of V1, you will see background without a color. As you can see, AdventureWorks products is not colored. But if I click preview of V2, you will see that it has a background color now, right? Now there is a small icon here, like a refresh icon. That is nothing but to say that, hey, I want you to make this version, that is the V1 version live. That's all it means. So now let's quickly come back to the meat of this today's presentation. That's building like a dashboard kind of stuff. So I'm going to close this and I will go back to file, reporting server, and sorry, file, new, and I'm going to pretty much take a blank report, and it is asking me where do you want to store it. I will say report servers, and I will take finance as the category, and then I will say dashboard um, report. Let's say it's a sales dashboard. I'm going to say save. So now, of course, we will need to kind of design all this stuff. So I will say, don't worry about the, it may not look elegant, but yeah, the point I'm trying to prove is, this is basically for what all things you can do. So I'm going to just say dashboard. So let's delete this guy. So I'm going to put this guy here. I'll style this guy. Maybe again, I'm going to go to Segoy UI light. I'll do a bold, and I will do maybe a 20 points, and let's also use a background, sorry, not the image background, maybe the color background, and maybe we use the same teal, and in the text, in the color, we'll do this guy and then say okay, and I can pretty much make it fill this way, and this is the details section. Now what I want to do is I want to quickly add, I already written a query, so this is what I want to create. Notice here I want to get top 5 performing agents, and I want to put a what do you call pie chart, and then maybe in the interest of the time I'll see if I can put this particular bar series. We'll see that, but yeah, this is what I want to do, right? So, and then also I want the year to be coming up as a parameter. As you can see here, there is a the sales for year, right? So I want to do all those things. So what I'm going to do is, first and foremost, I will add a data source. So I can say here, come to data, I'll say SQL data source, and I already have Adventure Works, so I'm going to use that, use the shared connection, and then the query that I have is I need to get all the distinct years I have in the sales table. So I'm going to say this. So execute query. Notice here there are currently 4 years that are there. So I'll say finish. Now I'm going to click on the report, go to Report Explorer, and notice here there is something called as, let me zoom in so that I don't know if you guys are able to see it. So yeah, here. So there is this thing called as parameters, right? So that's nothing but I can add any parameters to this report. So I will right click, add a parameter, and here the text, what should be the text? So I will say the text is sales year. By default I'll just put it as 2001, and then in the available values, notice here what we get now. So we get the SQL data. So I should have renamed it, provided a different name, but yeah, it's okay. So SQL data source 1 is what is coming. We have a column called as year, that's the display member, and the value member is also year, and I will say okay. I did give it a name, didn't I? Okay, name, yeah. So this will be report year. This is the parameter name, right? I'm going to say okay. So now the report parameter is set. What I want to do is I want to create a, okay, let's do something, and I'm going to insert maybe one more text box just right on the top, and then I will keep this as Adventure Works as this one. So let's do a okay, so that's fine. Now we have this, if you look at the top here, so we have this things called as insert, table, crosstab, list, bar, column, area, line, pie, scatter, other, map. You name it, we will be able to bring in anything that you want. So what I'm going to do is I will add a panel here, so that this panel is going to be top 5. So I'm going to split this into maybe 2 panels, and let's say add one more panel, drag this guy, and okay, so now I'm going to add a text box here, and I will say top 5 performing agents, right? So that's what I want to do here. but I want this color to be kind of a grayish. So I'm going to select this guy and I'm going to keep this as a Sego UI light again. I'll do this and there you go. So just a uh, up, right, and now here I'm going to add a cross tab wizard. So that wizard is going to ask me like, hey, what do you want to do? So I have to add a new data source. It will be again a SQL data source, and in this case I will say this is the main data source where all the data is there, and I will say okay, and again it's going to use Adventure Works. I'll say next. Now I already have a query you know written. So all it is doing is it's doing the joins on sales order, sales header, store, salesperson, the employee, all those things, and then calculating the product name, how much basically the how much sale has been done on that, on what date, what's the store name, and all the one who was the salesperson, all those things. So I want to know who my top 5 performing salespersons. That's the whole idea here. So I'm going to say now next, and it is asking me, hey, I see that your query has a parameter called as @year and looks like it's a string. So what's the value for that? So remember I created a report parameter. Notice here it's available, it's being shown here. It says parameters dot report year dot value. So it's saying pick up the value from the report year parameter and then pass it to the query. So that is all it does. And now it is asking me during design time, can you please provide me a default value? Well, that's 2001, and I said yes, and I'll do execute query. It is asking me a value, so I will say okay, and notice here for 2001 this is how the data is coming back. The product is so and so, the line total was so and so, the order date, which store, and then who was the salesperson in that store. I'm going to say finish, and now we have created the data source, but we still haven't created that particular this one. So I want column groups is nothing but based on the order date. I want to group the columns based on the Q3, Q4, like that. And the row group is nothing but the salesperson full name, and the detail value is going to be the sum of the line total, right? And then I'll say next, and then no subtotals, and then I'll say next, and it is asking me how do you want to show the table. So you have a couple of examples. I'll say apex, normal. Yeah, well, let's keep this solstice, whatever, I don't know what it is. So I'm going to do finish, and we get the cross tab here, right? So now let's do this. Notice here it's looking, so instead of salesperson full name, I'm going to say salesperson, right? And I can now preview this. Let's go to server and hang on, so where will it go? Yeah, preview home, and then I'll do preview. So it's opening up in my other table. So notice here what happened. So I am able to get that dashboard, but I've done some mistake. What is the mistake? It's giving me all the date and time. Hang on, so I gotta figure this out. What happened? So I need a total also. So okay, let me redo this. Oh, come on. No, not this guy. I need to remove this guy. That is this. So I will say delete. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to insert, cross tab wizard. It's a main data source. This. So the detail values is going to be the sum of the line total, and yeah, this one, and then it's gonna be this guy. So yes, next. And yeah, I need this particular total on the right hand side. So I'll say next, and I will say solstice, whatever, and then I'll do this, and there are a couple of things that I need to do. So what is happening is I'm getting everything, whatever it can figure out. So I don't want everything. So let me show you this, what is happening. So when I do a preview, it's always coming to this one. So when I do a preview, notice here I'm getting all the employees of the store. I don't want that. I want the top 5. So for that, what we should do is we got to build out a expression here. So the expression will be sales person full name, top N, and I want 5, right? So now let me preview. Notice now I get only the top 5. I hope you guys are able to see this. So I'm getting only top 5 now. Michael G, blah, 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 all those things. But what we will need to do is we'll need to do a descending order on this particular quarters also. So what we will do is in this particular group explorer, so remember there was a column group also. So what I need to do is I need to delete so currently it is grouped based on fields.order date. That's not what I want. What I want is I want to create a new expression here. And what is the expression? Expression is going to be functions date and time. We have a function called as quarter. If you pass a particular date time, the quarter function will tell you what quarter the date time was, like quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So now I need the quarter of the order date. So I'm going to say okay, and I will say this. So now if we preview, there we go, we got it correct. So it's giving me salesperson and then 8-1 and then 11-1. So basically this is quarter 1 and quarter 2, right? So I'm going to keep this window as is because there's a bunch of windows that I'm opening. Now what I want is I don't want this bottom row. I'm not at least interested about that. So I'm going to delete that row. But notice here this particular field is showing the complete date time. I don't want that complete date time. So what I will do is I don't know if you guys can see this, but there is this okay, let me yeah, there you go. So now I have selected that particular text box where the header is coming here, and there is a value property for that text box. So what I will do is I will say, hey, you know what, I need a hard-coded value called as Q plus, this is a string concatenation now. Remember the date time function that I had called as, so I can select this guy and then I'll say quarter and I'll say fields and then I'll say order date. So that's it. So now when I go and then preview, where's my preview? There you go. And take a look at this. So now what happens is basically I get Q3, he made this much sales, Q4 he made this much sales, so total for 2000 year. So remember we have a problem, the parameter is not coming up. So what I will do is I will go to the parameter, edit that parameter, and there is visibility set to false now. So but I need to make it true. So I will say okay, and I will do a preview. Now we have a full-fledged reporting working now. So now on the right hand side I get the reporting year. I can select 2004 and do a preview. So now the whole data is now working based on the year called as 2004, and I can say this and I can do this. So yeah, there we go. So this guy, so this particular for 2002 there are 4 quarters that's coming up, whereas for others it's not. So right, so that's what it is. I'm going to rename this to, I don't want this one, I just need this. So now what we need to do is let me increase the width to like maybe 10.41 inches. Yeah, so now I can just get a bigger space to work with, and I can say, yeah, I need this guy to be on this right hand side. And this I can drag a little bit. So now it's like 2 things that are coming up. So I will say, I'll paste this guy and I will say what was this? This was yearly sales distribution. So that's what it was. So I will say yearly sales distribution. So now what I want is here I want a pie chart or whatever. You can put a bar, whatever you want. For in the interest of the time, I'm going to take a pie and I will do this, and it is asking me main data source. So here now what I'm going to do is I don't want to see the salesperson, right? I want to see the product and then how it made money. So my series is going to be based on the product name, and the value is going to be again the line total, how much it's been done, right? That's it. There's no category grouping now. So I will say finish, and notice here again what happened. So I'm getting a lot of data coming back, right? So I don't want a lot of data coming back. I just need the top 5 data to come back, right? So we will set that out. So let me just yeah, then get this guy here. Yeah, okay. So again, we need to go back to this particular thing, filter, and then we will say like, I want the new expression will be, this is some, okay, I need to build an expression here. So this expression is going to be functions, aggregates, I have a sum, and then fields, and then line total, and I'll say okay, but I need the top n is equal to 5. And there we go. So the top 5 products that have been sold based on yearly sales distribution is Mountain 100 Black, 38, 42, 44, 48, 38. So this is how the percentages of the data are coming back from there, right? So I can actually get this like this. Notice how responsive it is even when you're doing a designing, right? So now I can go back to preview, and here is my preview. And it looks pretty neat, right? I'm not a good designer, but I hope you're getting the idea what I'm trying to do. So basically now my assume this is a complete dashboard. Just in the interest of the time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this as is, and then let's assume that we have a full page what do you call the okay, I'm going to copy these two, and I will paste it here. Did I screw up everything? Yeah, so let me go one by one. So I'm gonna say let's have this, and I don't want group explorer. Yeah, so now we should be able to, okay, let me just try to get a small ones here. Yeah, and then I'm gonna now copy this, and I'm gonna paste it here, and I will resize this like this, and so this is this guy, and I'm gonna just trying to make a preview not available. Well, that's okay. We'll just try to see what we get. So here is the, yeah, I'm just trying to fill up graph to data point label in scope. Okay, when I copy pasted it, it didn't like it, so that's okay. Let me quickly try to see if I can put something else, maybe a bar, clustered bar, main data source, and then we're going to select salesperson name as the series, and the values is going to be sum of line total, and again this is going to be categories is going to be the quarter 3, quarter 4. Finish. Yeah, so I'm getting a lot of data here, but what I'm going to do is I will say no, just give me 5 based on, yeah, so I'm going to select this and view group explorer, and then here in the filter I will go back and then I'll say new. I have to build an expression. I will say sum of, again it's a line total, and that's it I want, and then I will say top n value is 5, and we should see that now we will get a, yeah, as you can see here, so bar series grouping is based on, I'm going to delete this guy, new expression. Again I want to do a quarter plus We have this function for date time, which is quarter, and then fields order date, and I'm going to say okay, and there we go. So we get a nice looking. Yeah, I will have to format this to look like a Q1, Q2, whatever. But you're getting the point here that it's easy to build this kind of graphs, which are nothing but a kind of a desktop. And now we can go and then preview this guy. So let me do a preview, and there we go. Right, of course, if you kind of go ahead and then set your margins, that is everything in a neat manner, you will get a pretty fantastic graph and all the stuff coming up. So notice here the data goes ahead, changes, and now I can export this to a PDF if you want. So let me export this to PDF, and it's doing a download now. And I know we are kind of 8 minutes overboard, so just bear with me for a couple of more minutes, and then we should be done. And this is how it looks like. Of course, I did not design the report correctly in a A4 manner. As you can see, the width is too much, so it couldn't fit it in a one specific A4 size, so it's split it into 2 pages. So, but you get the point. So what is happening here? So now I'm ready with it. So I'm going to do a publish for this, and I will say V1 sales dashboard, and I'll say publish, and it's now gone ahead and then sat in my reporting server. So let's come back here, and I'll do a refresh, and we should see dashboard here. So if you see here, there is a dashboard here, V1 sales dashboard, and I can click on a preview and then see that. So this, whatever I just showcased you, is actually just the design part of it, right? So how do you consume it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show one of our online demos that we have in the interest of the time, where we have the same dashboard built up, and we have a HTML5 report viewer for that. So let me go to reporting, and here's the same dashboard that we were trying to build, right? And notice here this says HTML5. That's because this is the HTML5 report viewer. Basically we have styled, we have done everything and all the stuff. I don't know if I have time to actually do everything, but that's why I'm just showcasing you the code. So now I'll go back to one of my examples. So how do you get the report viewer? Basically, you will have to you will get our reporting tool, and then inside the reporting tool there is an HTML5 report viewer. So what does it require? It requires a JavaScript. It relies on something called as Kendo UI, and as you can see here, we have a Telerik Report Viewer.min.js, and then we have Kendo.min.js. So you need these two files. Then we have certain styles for that, and then this is the template, which hosts that particular viewer. If I have to open this up and then show you the code, let me open this up. So this is how it looks like, right? So basically this is the HTML5 based report viewer, and let me show you what we do here. So there's a lot of things that we do out of the box. So all you need is, you just need this file to be referenced. That's all you need to do. And how do you use it? So let me show you that. Examples, C#, and then where is the HTML5 demo? Yeah, here it is. So views, no, not views. Here is the index.html. So let me open that up. And this is how you use it. You make a reference of, or you take you pretty much will take the the jQuery, you will take the Kendo style sheet and all those stuff, and here is where the report viewer /js and the Kendo, the Telerik report viewer, and then all it needs is the service URL. In our case, this will be localhost :83. We are doing a report source as report is equal to so and so, but in our case, because we are running it from the report viewer, all we need to do is we need to say what is the category under which the report is, and what is the report name. Remember I said finance and then dashboard report, right? Yeah, we just need to pass that, and then once you are done all the stuff, you get this report viewer. So this is actually the HTML5 report viewer. as you can see here, this is a web page, but notice here, whatever I've been showcasing, it's going to happen the same thing. Notice here I just clicked on the different year 2002 and it loads a report, and I click on 2003, it loads a report, and of course all the other data, whatever you needed, it's all here. You can download, let's try to download an Excel 2003. Let's see what happens. So here is the Excel file that has got downloaded. It's now trying to open my Excel. Yeah, there we go. We have the Excel opening up. And this is the same report what you saw online, coming back with a neatly, it's the same what you saw there is what you get here. So of course these images will, this particular graphs will be an image. It won't be a actual Excel graphs, because when we generate, yeah, it's pretty hard for us to kind of put whatever you need. So it's easier for us to take the image and then just put it here, and you see the same table coming up here and everything. Now you can do whatever you want with it, right? You can pretty much use it. So that was a quick introduction to what is report server, how do you create a report, how do you use a report designer, upload the report, and then consume it in a HTML5 report viewer. We have a bunch of demos available. You're always you can just go here, take a look at all these demos that we have, and as I said, try now, the report server and Telerik reporting. You can always click on the try now and then create reports for yourself, embed that into one of your projects, all those stuff. And we have documentations available at docs.telerik.com/reporting. So that's the documentation site where remember I showcased you on what do you call the report viewer. So let me show you that using Telerik reporting in applications, and let's say in web application, and then it says HTML5 report viewer, and it says how to use HTML5 report viewer with report server. So the complete documentation is available here, and this is what the JavaScript part I was talking about. You will need to provide the report server URL. If there is a username and password, you will have to pass that. And instead of the report source, here all we need to say is, hey, my report is actually at so-and-so category slash, if you notice here, it says category slash report name. I just have to say finance slash report name or HR slash report name, and that's it. And we will be able to render that report the way I showcased you here in an HTML5 report viewer. So let me stop recording now, and then I'll go back to the questions. So thank you very much for attending this webinar from our side. We always try to bring you a couple of things that are exciting for us within the company. So Telerik Report Server, Telerik reporting is one of the exciting things that are there for your reporting needs. So thank you for attending this webinar, and then I'm going to stop recording and get on to the Q&A. So we hope to see you in our future webinars too.